So good morning, afternoon, or evening, everybody, depending, of course, on where in the world you're joining us from today. Firstly, again, thank you for your time, and most importantly, I hope you're all safe and well during this challenging time for us all. So today, I wanted to talk to you about some of the observations that we're seeing of the impact of the pandemic across our customers and support services, some key factors of our support services, or for support services, 24/7 support services, the ATS way. And then towards the end of the session, we'd welcome any questions, discussions, and we can go through those. Okay, so as I said, firstly, let's look at some of the impact that the pandemic is having on support services and that we're seeing from our customers. So in terms of reported issues, yes, we are seeing a decrease in the number of interactions or issues being reported to through our service desk, but it's not as large as we'd expect. And I believe there's a couple of factors for those. One, of course, is that we know economically a number of countries are trying to do all they can to keep manufacturing running during this extremely challenging time. But also, as I'm sure many of you have heard, we're aware of a lot of quite remarkable stories of manufacturers completely changing products to support the pandemic. To give an example, one of our automotive customers recently moved to producing ventilators, and we were able to support the changes to design and execution from their manufacturing systems perspective to allow them to move forward with production. We see a reduction in manufacturing systems teams due to many reasons, of course. Maybe they're taking furlough or maybe just decreasing in terms of production. But these roles would generally be involved in as super users or business process experts. So we're helping to pick up some of the workload for those individuals and teams as well. Let's talk about time for change. We see several customers utilizing this time to request and implement changes and improvements. This could be changing out aging hardware or operating technology equipment, upgrading entire systems, or taking the opportunity to add additional functionality. This is understandable and very wise in our opinion. Of course, this is unprecedented downtime for a lot of our customers. So taking the advantage and ensuring that what we hope will be a forthcoming upturn, we reduce any further needed downtime as a result of maintenance. Let's talk about time to restart. So as a lot of production equipment has been down for a period of time, completely switched off or operating in a reduced capacity, we've been informed of and had issues logged with ourselves as this equipment gets turned back on. And of course, there are issues as a result of coming back online. To give another example there, one of our customers had an issue with a controls board on startup as part of their operating technology. They were able to reconfigure or re-implement the physical equipment, and then we were able to reconfigure it from a data collection perspective within the system. I'd now like to talk about some key factors for support services. I'm going to pick a few of these out and go through in some more detail. So firstly, understanding the support model and implementing the right support model. So I believe it's important for any support model to cover the end-to-end service. If we think even in the office environment nowadays, with perhaps a user wishing to print a document, there are commonly or can commonly be a number of vendors even involved with that. We can have a desktop team, a network team, an infrastructure team, a print team. All can be different vendors even involved in such a simple process, really. And when we apply that to the shop floor, we bring in a number of additional operating technology vendors and the automation level. So when issues occur, it's important that we understand exactly who needs to be involved and why. And of course, it's also equally as important to ensure the availability of all of those vendors across the end-to-end support model, including and incorporating the OT layer. There are many options and requirements for service transition. Documentation, being able to do a deep dive and reverse engineer documentation from a systems perspective, existing service knowledge, or in the case of new deployments, project issues. All of these are completely necessary. But when we bring that into the manufacturing and OT space, as important as those technical aspects is understanding how the system's used, why the system's used, and the business processes around that to be able to, in order to effectively troubleshoot. Also, let's talk about preventative approach. Of course, it's important, essential to be able to respond and rapidly resolve to issues. But what about preventing them in the first place? If we do that through proactive, so designing and conducting regular physical checking of systems, also implementing fine-tuning and optimization as part of that proactive approach. And if we pair that with monitoring, so in getting real-time alerting from our systems to cut out issues before they're even noticed by users. And finally, of course, it's important to have the access backed up by the support model to the right software providers and product development teams to be able to effectively operate a support service. So if I can now take the opportunity to introduce ATS Global. So ATS Global is an independent solution provider. We have partnerships with a number of IT and OT vendors globally. We work with engineering and manufacturing companies worldwide. And 24/7 support services is one of our many core business activities. Support services are teams and infrastructure across all of our global locations. This gives us the operating model that we require to be local and close to our customers. This is essential for delivering on-site support services where the scope requires, but also gives us the ability to operate at a global level with centralized infrastructure. Our 24/7 support services cover all of the layers of the IT and OT model. We have experience in supporting a vast range of products in the MES-MON, SCADA HMI, and PLC and control layers. Now, of course, we don't claim to know every product and solution, but our domain knowledge operates across this area, and this is where our expertise and knowledge lies. So while I'm sharing some fast facts from our support services, I'd like to draw your attention and highlight a couple of those in more detail. So if we talk about our customers, which is really, of course, our knowledge, all of our customers are different in many ways, but often the biggest difference tends to be the systems that they use and how they use those systems. Even within the same customer, across their differing locations, the systems can be used in completely different ways, how they interface, and of course the physical equipment that they're connected to. This ensures that we're continually learning and capturing knowledge to understand all of those systems and equipment that they're connected to. Even if we may not directly support some of those systems, we must understand the interfacing. Incidents, as I'm sure many of you are aware of what the term incident means. So an unplanned interruption or reduction in quality of an IT service. Now, when we apply that to the OT environment, generally a direct stop to production. In a 24/7 production schedule, every minute counts. So the importance of meeting or even more importantly, beating SLA targets for response and resolution is a must for us and a must for our customers. In fact, response and being available is absolutely more of an expectation than a metric nowadays. And finally, language. We all talk a common language for business. But again, when we talk at the shop floor level, a lot of operators still speak in local language, and it's important for us to understand that and ensure that every operator can quickly report an issue to the right people as soon as possible. So in terms of how ATS work, well, we are aligned in our support services structure to ITIL, but through our knowledge of manufacturing and working with manufacturing customers, we've adapted some of those ways of working slightly differently. So if we talk about our 24/7 service desk, it's not technical. Through our experience, we've made the decision that we want issues to go to dedicated engineers as quickly as possible. Following scripts and managing multiple issues at a service desk level just doesn't work in the manufacturing space for us. Our engineering teams, level 1 and level 2, we use a blend of follow the sun through our global presence and standby shifts to ensure that we are continually operating 24/7 and not just fixing issues 24/7. And what I mean by that is we have our proactive, our root cause investigation, and our change management implementations that run 24/7 as part of that follow the sun, but giving us and our customers the comfort that we have standby shift rotation for more senior expert engineers that can be brought in for critical issues as required. When we talk about level 3, we're talking about application experts. These can be in-house, but they're often third party. But for us, it's seamless to our customer. These application vendors work as part of the ATS team and function. We don't hand issues over to third parties. We solve them together, we implement the changes together, and we expand our knowledge together. And finally, I'd just like to share with you a global aerospace reference that we've been working with in our support services for a number of years, back in 2003. And we are providing full IT, OT support for this customer across 25 locations. We are their preferred shop floor partner and integrator of choice. Okay, thank you very much for your time, and I'd like to take any questions now, please.
Hello, Jack. I see a couple of questions there. I'm checking those for you. The first one is, can you tell us about the managed services approach?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So what we really mean by that is, of course, fixing issues is important and is just one element of a service. But the root cause analysis, the problem management, and following up on the resolution essentially of those issues is really where we add more value. And then we can work with our customers to deliver back what changes may need to be applied, what changes to systems, what additional infrastructure, how can we tweak and enhance performance. So it's really taking from an issues intake level, bringing that into a managed service environment and being able to share an output that's meaningful for our customers to act on.
Mm-hmm. And there is one more, like, how do you work with other support vendors?
Good question. There's not one answer to that, if I'm honest. So it really comes back to the definition and getting the support model right. So we can work independently as customers can directly interact with ATS as a single vendor with ATS support services, or we can work as part of an ecosystem model or a model that includes multiple vendors. So in some examples, we are sitting behind a company may choose to have a single point of contact as a service desk for all of their IT, OT, so the office environment and the shop floor environment. and we are able to interact with that other vendor and work with those all vendors required.
I think these are all the questions that we received.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody again for your time.
Yeah, thanks a lot for everyone for taking out time and joining this session. And of course, yeah, Jack, before we leave, we received another question, I believe. Are you saying that if I have a mixed technology manufacturing environment with, say, Rockwell, Siemens, and other kits, you could manage support across the entire environment?
Yes, absolutely. We would of course want to and have a look at that requirement in more detail. But from a conceptual level, absolutely, we manage we have the ability to manage across the layers as I presented, and can deliver a fully managed service. Yes.
Okay. I think that's all for now. Thanks all for joining this session. And if in case you come across any questions or something pops up on your mind later, please feel free to reach us and we will try and answer your queries. And thank you for your time. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.